Alrighty, so I'm going to go over line trimmer heads, different options that are out there, kind of what their intended uses are, some benefits of each one. It's going to be a lot of information. If you guys have questions, you can always come in and ask us directly about your exact application. But just kind of run through them real fast here. So essentially, most of the line trimmers are going to come with a bump feed or an auto feed head, like something like this. What it is, it's designed so as you're running it, you take that thing while it's spinning, you tap this on the ground, which depresses that button and allows another inch or so of line to come out, so you can continuously keep feeding line out of the head and keep working. So it's a great head for doing yard work, for doing smaller stuff, but you are limited in the size of the line that you can run. Going to line sizes really quickly. From Stihl, all of the straight shaft trimmers are going to start out with a line, an orange line that is going to be a 0.095 inches in diameter. It's probably the most common industry standard for line trimmers. Stihl is nice because they color code their stuff. So this light green color is going to be a 0.080 inch line. So it's a little bit thinner by 15 thousandths of an inch. This is going to be in curved shaft trimmers. And then you're going to have red, which is going to be 0.105 inches. So again, a little bit thicker than this orange line. The 105 is going to be the thickest line you can run in these bump heads without them, having issues feeding and getting bound up inside. Again, very common for yard work, edging your grass, even, working around, out in the country doing some of the, wild oats, stuff like that that'll come up, but you are limited in that line size that you can use. Some other options that you have are going to be like a 130 and a 155 line, and you can see that these are substantially heavier. So this is a square 130, which is much, much thicker than this 105, and then even more than that is going to be a 155, which is, again, even thicker than the 130 by a lot. This is very big, thick, heavy stuff. It doesn't fit in very many heads, but it does give you the ability to go out there and line trim without having to change your line nearly as frequently, especially if you have, big, thick broadleaves, star thistle, mustard, whatever you have, stuff like that, especially as it gets stemmy and dries out and it's not as green. That's a very common option. These thicker lines are really only going to be run in a couple of types of heads. One is a fixed cut like this, or what they call a Duro cut like this one. The Duro cut is pretty nice because it's very easy to load. It only has two lines coming in and out, and it's kind of like a Chinese finger trap almost. I can pull this thing all the way through. I stick it in here, it stops at the beginning, it will not pull out. So basically, I'm going to run this till these lines wear down, grab it, take it out, stick a new piece in there, and I'm back to running. With that, I could run a 130. You can kind of fit a 155 in there. It's almost a little bit too large for this. Doesn't quite work that well, but you can do it. But again, you can get to that 130 line size, and it gives you the ability to do it without having to do a whole lot of weaving of the line in and out. The other really common option is what Stihl calls a fixed cut, which is going to be this head here. And the way I have it right now is with 4 lines, which is the most common way we see people running it. Gives you the kind of, the most bang for your buck, if you will, but you do have to have the horsepower to run it because you have 4 lines out now, so there's a lot of additional drag force on that engine. So a bigger line trimmer like an FS 111 or an FS 131 are going to be more common, or even larger than that. Right now I just have the 105 line, you can see by that red, but the 130 and the 155 are very common lines to put in this one. This one does take more work to load, but it gives you the option to run that really big, thick, heavy stuff. And again, this is where you're having very large stemmy weeds. Quality of cut's not going to be nearly as nice as, say, running like a 105 or an 095 cutting your grass, but it's going to knock the stuff down. Last option real fast is also going to be a poly cut head, which uses these free swinging, poly blades, if you will. Again, this is really nice for doing larger semi stuff, but out in the open. Doesn't do well up against like horse fence, non-climb fence, because if you're gonna try and get too close, probably you're gonna kiss that fence and break blades off. But what's nice about this is that you can go out and work for quite a while on a set of blades if you're not digging down in the rocks with it or getting up into the fences, and it's fairly easy to change. On this new head, it does have to come off of the line trimmer to come apart, but then it just pops apart. Lift the blades off, stick the new blades right back on there, basically clip the head back together and spin it back onto the unit, which is really pretty easy as far as loading it goes. Stihl had an older line trimming or a poly cut head that utilized these white blades, and actually utilized 3 of them. They are not interchangeable. The lengths are different, so if you have a white head, you still need to get the white blades. You can't get the orange blades. If you have the new orange or bladed head, then it uses only those orange blades, not the white blades. Aside from that, I'm going to go through in different videos kind of how to wind and do this head here. These ones here are pretty basic. This one I'll probably do a separate video on as well, because this one's a little bit more complex. If you guys have any questions on stuff, always feel free to give us a call or stop by.